Your cat just elongated their entire body across the living room floor. You smiled, maybe scratched their ears, and kept moving. But here's what you missed. That stretch wasn't random, and it wasn't about waking up sleepy joints. It was directed at you deliberately, for reasons most cat owners completely overlook. What's happening right then is a complex emotional transaction in the feline world. Let's break it down, starting with point 1. 1. It's a calculated greeting, not a physical reflex. Picture this. You step out of your bedroom in the morning. Instantly, your cat drops onto the floor. Belly exposed, front legs extended, claws fully unsheathed. You probably thought they just woke up, but it's not random at all. Feline behavioral specialists have a specific term for this, the affiliative stretch. It's triggered not by cramped muscles or a long nap. It is triggered entirely by your sudden appearance. The key clue is the exact second it happens. Your cat has been lounging for hours, with plenty of time to stretch, plenty of quiet moments on the rug, by the radiator, or on the bed. But the stretch occurs the millisecond you enter their line of sight. That's not coincidence, that is a deliberate response. Here's the part most people skip. Cats are deliberate animals. They don't waste calories, and they analyze their surroundings constantly. They don't execute movements for absolutely no reason. When they stretch right as you appear, it's a highly specific social cue. You are the catalyst, not the floor, not the fatigue, just you. If you live in a busy household, watch closely to see who triggers this. That answer might surprise you, and we'll explore exactly why shortly. Drop a 1 in the comments if your cat does this when you walk in. Let's see how many of us live with cats trying to tell us something. 2. They literally evolved this code just for humans. Here's where it gets genuinely fascinating and a little awe-inspiring. A feral cat in the woods stretches to prepare for a sprint. It's purely mechanical, but what your indoor cat does is entirely different. It's dialogue, and that specific dialect didn't exist before they lived with us. Consider this. Adult wildcats do not communicate with each other through meows. That vocalization is a tool domestic cats engineered almost exclusively for human ears. The exact same logic applies here to these affiliative stretches. They belong to a toolkit of behaviors evolved specifically for human dynamics. They didn't need this in the wild, they built it for us. A study found domestic cats utilize a unique set of physical gestures. They use them almost exclusively when interacting with humans, not with other felines, and not when hunting alone. Your cat operates on a completely different behavioral frequency when you are around. So when they stretch at your feet, they aren't running ancient survival instincts. They are running a software update built specifically for your connection. But there is another layer beneath this that you would never notice, one that involves something you can't see and you can't hear. 3. They are silently putting their signature on your space, and you had absolutely no idea about this genuinely surprising fact. Cats possess microscopic scent glands tucked right between their toes. You can't detect what those glands release, but it's a neon sign. Cats rely on these pheromones to claim territory and scratching posts. They claim windowsills and their preferred blankets. When your cat stretches toward you, digging paws into the carpet, right next to your shoes, they are actively pumping out that scent. Translation: they are marking the perimeter around you as their personal sanctuary. Now, before you bristle at the word territorial, this isn't dominance. This is the emotional equivalent of a cat saying you are their anchor. They are telling you that this is their safe zone. You are being claimed out of profound vulnerability, not ownership. There is a massive difference between the two. Think about the items your cat marks, and the corners they rub against. The places they retreat to when scared. The things they value most. You are sitting right at the top of that list. Invisibly, quietly, they are weaving you into their map of survival. Which raises a question worth sitting with for a moment. Why do they offer this deep validation to you, but ignore the guests? 4. Why your cat selected you over the rest of the house. If you've ever watched your cat walk right past your roommate without a single glance, only to drop into a massive stretch the second you sit down, you've witnessed a dynamic researchers find genuinely interesting. Cats do not hand out their social currency evenly. Studies observing feline behavior in large families show they consistently direct more slow blinks, more trills, and more affiliative stretches toward one specific person. It's not necessarily the person who fills the food bowl, but the person they've determined is the safest. What drives that choice is predictability and peace. Cats constantly scan their living space for stability, memorizing who walks heavily, who makes sudden loud noises, and who actually pauses when they initiate contact. Over months, they compile a mental hierarchy, and the human at the absolute pinnacle gets the VIP greeting. If that human is you, you earned it, not by doing anything extravagant, but by being a steady, reliable presence day after day. If it isn't you yet, don't worry. Cats operate on their own timeline when it comes to trust. It's never too late to build it. And the most intimate version of this trust is displayed every single morning in a way most people entirely miss. 5. The morning stretch carries a completely different weight. You open your eyes, your cat is already sitting there, staring at you. The exact second you shift under the covers, they stretch. This interaction seems trivial, but animal behaviorists believe it's profound, one of the most profound displays of feline affection. Cats are crepuscular, meaning they peak in energy at dawn and dusk. While you were deep in sleep, your cat was likely patrolling, fully alert. They had 8 hours of silence to stretch, but they held off, executing the stretch the moment your eyes opened. That timing is highly intentional. It's a morning roll call reserved strictly for their inner circle. But there's something underneath it that's worth sitting with. When you are asleep, you are completely defenseless. Your cat is acutely aware of this. Felines who share a deep bond with their owners often sleep nearby, at the foot of the bed as a form of silent watchfulness. When you finally wake up, that stretch isn't just a hello, it's a release of tension. It says the night is over, you survived, I'm still here. Notice if your cat does this for a friend sleeping on the couch. They almost never do. That specific relief is saved for you. But there is one more variation of this behavior that demands your attention. Mostly because your cat forces you to pay attention. 6. The calculated hallway blockade. Your cat knows exactly what they are doing here. You're walking toward the bathroom, maybe carrying a laundry basket. Maybe distracted by your phone, right there in the tightest bottleneck. Directly in your trajectory, your cat is stretched out, to their absolute maximum length, occupying every single inch of the floor. This is not an accident. Cats possess an extraordinary map of your daily habits. They know your exact route from the desk to the kitchen, the exact doorway you have to pass through. When your cat deploys a stretch right in your path, they selected it deliberately. They could stretch anywhere, under the bed, behind the TV stand, or in a dusty corner. Instead, they choose the exact spot that forces you to halt. And it works perfectly, doesn't it? You stop walking, you look down, you talk to them. The cat achieved their goal. Your absolute, undivided, mandatory focus. Not a passing glance, but a full disruption of your day with them as the main character. Some behaviorists view this as a subtle test of leverage. Your cat is verifying if they can alter your momentum on command. And every time you hit the brakes, even when you're running late, you prove that yes, they absolutely can. It's a power move, and they win every time. 7. If your cat never does this, here is the actual translation. Maybe you've been watching this entire video thinking yours doesn't do that, and you're starting to worry about the strength of your bond. First, breathe. This is not a verdict. Cats who refrain from stretching in front of their humans generally fall into one of two camps. Either the household doesn't feel fully secure to them yet, or the cat learned in a past life that making themselves vulnerable didn't yield a positive result and quietly stopped trying. That second one is worth sitting with. These social gestures evolved because they were rewarded. When an ancient cat stretched toward a human and received a soft voice, a pause, a gentle scratch, the neural pathway was reinforced. When those vulnerable signals were repeatedly ignored, the cat adapted. They didn't stop loving you. They just stopped broadcasting on a frequency you weren't tuned into. The remedy is incredibly simple. Start watching them closely. When your cat does anything that resembles an olive branch, a slow blink, a tiny chirp, simply sitting 3 feet away facing you, acknowledge it with a soft word, a slow blink in return. You aren't training a trick, you are proving that their voice matters. And if you brought home a rescue cat, give them grace. Some of the most profound moments in pet ownership happen when a deeply traumatized cat finally drops into a full stretch. In the middle of the living room, 2 years after adoption, that milestone hits entirely different, because you know the exact price they paid to rebuild that trust. The stretch is not just a behavior, it's an opening, and now that you know what it means, You'll never look at it the same way.